we as business owners can train our AI tools to become a marketing manager, to become an accountant, to become a bookkeeper, to become a graphic designer. And the more data you give that AI tool, the better it's going to help your business.
Many entrepreneurs struggle with digital transformation, but Roberto Martinez helps businesses scale using AI. As CEO of Braven Agency and a Google coach, he's helped over 500 companies automate and grow. Roberto shares his AI agents framework to cut costs, boost revenue, and create passive income, revealing the tools behind 3,000% business growth.
Roberto, welcome to the podcast.
Very excited to be here today. Very excited to be speaking with you.
Well, listen, before we hit the record button, I was telling you about how excited I was to have you on the podcast. You have a digital marketing agency, correct?
I do. I have a digital marketing agency and a software company as well.
Okay. Well, let's start with just kind of give us some background on what those two companies are and what they do.
Yeah, happy to. We help monetize small to medium-sized businesses using technology and digital marketing. We've been doing that for the past 10 years. And we really started from the idea that our parents, our aunts and uncles, they understand how to be a small business player. They understand how to work within the community, but sometimes they don't know how to adapt and adopt new technologies and new marketing solutions to grow and scale their company. So that idea of the digital divide was really real to me. And I decided to launch an agency that speaks to that specific pain point of helping our community understand how to use technology and marketing to grow their business. That's on the agency side. Fast forward to 4 years ago with COVID and everyone being on lockdown, we realized there's a strong need to help digitize these small businesses and then track the success of those small businesses. So we started working with cities, counties, foundations to create programming to help move brick and mortar companies online. And that's when our second company was born, which is called Smarts. And we'll talk a little about that later, about this amazing AI tool that we created. In essence, what the software AI tool provides is benchmarking as well as advice for small businesses to understand where they are within their marketing and operations, and then give them clear, concise steps of how to be able to grow and scale with those insights and that information that AI provides us.
On the business side of it, you've actually helped scale businesses to 7 figures using AI and digital marketing. As you're working with these businesses, like what are some of the biggest misconceptions that entrepreneurs have about implementing some of the growth strategies that you share with them?
Yeah, I think most small businesses are busy working in their business, not on their business. They're working crazy hours, way over 8 hours a day, 10, 15 hours a day. It's their baby, and we have to respect that. And I think it's not that they can't do it, is that they don't have the time to do it. And so really demonstrating the value monetarily of, hey, your hour as an entrepreneur, your hour as a business owner is not 100, 200, 300. It's very expensive. And so maybe you shouldn't be doing the bookkeeping. Maybe you shouldn't do the accounting. You should be aware of how to do that, but maybe offboard that and really focus on the revenue drivers, the things that are going to scale your company from 0 to 1, 1 to 1,000, 1,000 to 1,000,000. And when that clicks for them, when they like, you're right, why am I working in the business? I should be working on the business. It makes it a lot easier for them to adopt those technologies and spend the time and energy needed to understand those technologies. So I think it's just a paradigm shift. They know they need to do it, but they're so busy running their business and we have to understand that. So it takes some time, but the misconception would be they don't know how to do it. They definitely know how to do it. They just don't have the time to do it.
And now you've also worked as Google's digital business coach, and you've had some success during the pandemic working with LA Optimize. Tell me a little bit about that experience and how it's kind of informed where we are today post-pandemic.
Yes, happy to talk about it. So it's actually Google Coach. We are no longer Google digital coaches. We're Google coaches because we definitely want to be more inclusive. We definitely want to make sure we help any and all small business. And that idea of a Google coach really stemmed from this perspective that Google wants to help all small businesses understand how to help their business understand Google's technologies, Google solutions to grow and scale their business. I am one of 20 coaches across the United States. I cover the state of California. There's folks in Texas, Florida, New York, Illinois, you name it, we're there. And our whole premise here is to help empower and demystify the technology that is out there when it comes to Google tools and services like Google paid ads, Google business profile, Google analytics, and really help them adopt those technologies to help them grow. That's on the Google side. The team is called the Grow with Google team. It's been around forever. I think we've been doing that for 9 years now at the agency. And then there's LA Optimized, which during the pandemic, kind of spoke to this a little bit earlier, we realized the need for brick and mortar companies to transition over to digital presence, digital companies. And that's because we all understand the need to be online. And if anything helped us really drive home that point, it was the fact that the pandemic shut everything down. So if you couldn't sell online, it was really difficult for you to survive the pandemic. And the city of LA, in their wisdom, decided to create this program. And I was considered the entrepreneur in residence. I was appointed by the mayor at the time, Mayor Garcetti, as the entrepreneur in residence that created this program, went out and found private money, brought it back to the city, and then digitized over 150 small businesses. That program has scaled since then. They're servicing businesses all across LA. And we've partnered with different counties, different cities to help them institutionalize similar programs like LA Optimized. And the whole premise there is, how do we get your brick and mortar online? We've seen some major successes. The moment we were able to do that, on average, anywhere from 15 to 30% increase in revenue, but we had some businesses that grew as fast and as large as 3,000% increase in revenue, let alone the digital connectivity piece was amazing. And this is simple fix. This is improving the website. If you have a website, or creating a website, it's being on social media channels, understanding how to have calls to action, improving their paid ads campaigns, understanding how to run paid ads campaign. This is not rocket science here. It's just giving them the tools they need to, we used to call it, you don't give a man a rod to fish, you teach the man how to fish. And once you do that, they got it from there. So it was a very rewarding program, and we were able to expand it across certain counties in California and in Texas.
And you mentioned the digital divide. Let's kind of talk about the big elephant in the room, which I will say is Google. If you do not have a working knowledge of the tools that are available with Google, and you have a business that may be great at, it may be a bakery, we're great at making muffins, but we don't know how to get online or how to start with Google. How do you bring people in and introduce them to Google and other digital tools in a way that helps grow their business and scales it and just takes them, baby steps all the way to graduation?
Yeah, so I'm definitely not representing Google. I definitely can't speak to their needs, but I can speak as a coach. And what I recommend all small businesses, the first step you have to do is get your Google business profile. That's the easiest. It's a free service. It allows you to be online on the world's largest search engine that happens to be Google, where customers are constantly looking. We love this little device here. We're always on it. And so if we're in a new city, a new town, or we're craving something new, what do? We reach for that phone and we start looking for the best barbecue near me, the best hair salon near me. And those companies that pop up, those have been registered on the Google business profile. And so that allows you to be found on Google Search and Google Maps. That is a very powerful tool that's completely free, that allows you to increase online traffic, phone calls, text messages, or messages to your prospective customer base, and inform them about your products and services, any changes. There's nothing worse than going to a new town, trying to go to that restaurant that everyone raves about, but the information online is not factual or not up to date. And so that business profile is probably the first step that I recommend any and all small business, any non-medium-sized business, any and all large business to use. So that's the first step. Like, that's step number one. Let's get you started. Let's get you online. From there, there's just a lot of different tools that we could dive into to help them businesses really leverage the heck out of Google. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Grow with Google team and the work we do with as a coach. So I am called the Grow with Google coach for California. If you want to learn, there's so much information online. Just go to Grow with Google. You'll find a lot of information around all the different tools available to you, free and paid. So we'll make a distinction with free tools like Google Business Profile, Google Analytics, and then paid tools like Google Ads to better or Google Merchant Center for those full sales products. We have something called Google Merchant Center that allows you to be on the Google search engine. And then when you choose to advertise, you can run ads so that your product shows up on the Google search. So there's just a lot of different tools. Highly recommend people to go to Grow with Google. Highly recommend people to reach out to their local coach if they're found in those 20 different states that have a Google coach.
So even after we have a basic knowledge of the tools that are available and we've reached out to our coach, I love automation.
Mhm.
How can we automate some of these things? And, what are things with your agency that you recommend that people automate in their business to actually help them grow and scale?
So it's just so many automation tools out there, but I'll be very specific on one use case that we just see a lot of value. Anytime you have email marketing, anytime you can capture prospective customers through your email marketing campaigns, that's going to help you grow sales. What do I mean by this? Email is the most scalable product out there as a marketing tool for a small business. How long does it take us to shut out an email? Maybe 15 to 30 seconds, maybe a minute. If it's a very extensive email, it might be 3 to 5 minutes. And you start CCing people in that email, it doesn't matter. You don't spend any more time. That scalability makes it a very powerful tool. Now, let's just assume you have an e-commerce website. Let's say you're selling shampoo, hair product, a skincare product. Well, when the prospective customer lands on your website, what do you want to do? Provide them value through a discount code, a subscription code, what have you. You capture their email, and in exchange, you provide them that value. And then you use email and integrate it with third-party tools like Klaviyo that allows you to create drip campaigns. It allows you to, in essence, communicate with the customer throughout their customer journey and keep touching them through email, informing them, hey, we, we're glad you signed up for our newsletter. Here's a free 10% off your first purchase over $50. And then a week later, you send them another email, and all that can be automated through email marketing and third-party applications like Klaviyo. We've seen companies really change their sales revenue by implementing this type of tool. But even on the service side, let's say you're a service company, let's say you do accounting, let's say you're a law firm, you want to do the same thing. You want to continuously remind your business, your prospective customer, how amazing your business is. And you do that through email automation. We've done that for small businesses. We've done that for institutions like academic institutions. We tend to think that email doesn't work, but think about your own purchasing habits and how you use email. We might not like to be spam, but there's certain emails that will definitely open for those brands that we absolutely love. So that's the whole idea within automation. You could definitely automate that. There's other automation tools that I could highly recommend. If we have more time, happy to drill down a little bit more on that.
Now, you've also worked with tech giants like Amazon and Meta. What are some of the things that they're doing, like tactics they're using that small businesses can borrow to help actually grow and scale their businesses without huge budgets, of course, because,
Yeah. So I love the idea of crawl, walk, and run. And this idea that we have to test out the market. We have to really understand what customers want before we spend the money, before we invest in the team. And making sure that your value proposition, that your product or service that you're selling is actually wanted by the market. How do we do this? Let's start slow. We don't have to start running. We have to crawl before we walk, before we run. And so within Facebook, if you have products, Facebook Marketplace, you can start selling your products directly using Facebook Marketplace, testing out if the product line that you have is great. There's IG, which is owned by Facebook. Same premise applies. You can start posting content now on IG and see the demand. And then analytics is so important because it provides us what we call in marketing insights. Insights is just something that isn't intuitively aware until you have a better understanding of it through the numbers. And so something like, let's say you have a spike in sales, you're a picture parlor, you have a spike in sales on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You're wondering why Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as opposed to Monday and Tuesday between the hours of 5 to 7. If you look at your analytics, you might see that the people who are buying the food are 35 to 50 and are parents. What does that tell you? Maybe they're buying food for their kids. And maybe what you would like to offer them is a type of family deal during those days. That's an insight that the analytics will provide you. So we are inundated with data nowadays. It's how do we interpret that data using the information we have readily available by not spending any money. So we could just start by creating our business profile on Meta, understanding our customer base, really understanding why they buy from us, why they don't buy from us, and then testing out our products or services, seeing how the customer reacts when we post something about the product. Do they like it? Do they not like it? And that information is going to help guide your decision-making process. That's something that's very easy to do. And then it also depends on your customer base. If we have an older demographic, Facebook is a great platform. If we have a younger demographic, Instagram is a great platform. If we have a very youthful demographic, maybe TikTok is a great platform. You have to be where your customers are at, not where you want them to be. Sometimes we spend a lot of time because it's the latest and greatest social media tool, but it's incumbent on us as business owners to really understand where that customer lives and then spend our energy in those channels. When I say channels, it's where the marketing channel. It could be social media channels like LinkedIn, Meta, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, IG, whatever that happens to be. Do they spend most of the time on those channels so I can market myself in those channels? Now, when it comes to Amazon, Amazon's heavily focused on product. So when you think about your product, are you ready to scale at that level? That's the first piece of advice I would ask anyone who's looking to sell their products on Amazon, because Amazon has amazing tools. They do a lot of the heavy lifting. They could connect you with drop shipping, but are you ready to sell at that scale? And that's something that you have to think through. Do I have the supply chain, especially now due to our economic climate with tariffs and whatnot? Do I have the ability to scale my product line very quickly? The other thing is, do I have the team necessary to create sticky content? We call it A+ content in Amazon. What do we mean by A+ content? We mean the imaging, the copy, the videos are exceptional, are informative, and are providing the customer the type of information they need. We could touch on SEO a little bit later, but SEO works the same way regardless if you're on a search engine like Bing or Google, if you're on a search engine like YouTube, if you're on a search engine Amazon. Search engine just means you type in the keywords and key phrases. Those keywords and key phrases are now scanned across that platform or that website, web search, and then matched according to those words and phrases. So the way Google works, the way Meta works is very similar. So understanding how to incorporate the words and phrases that your customers are using to search for your product is extremely important. And so having that checklist is extremely important of understanding, hey, do I have the supply chain? Can I sell this at volume? Am I okay with discounting some of these rates? Because that's a big deal for Amazon, being able to have flash deals and being able to provide the deals at a certain price point. Can I sustain that for long periods of time? And can I create content that's relevant to my customer base with the words, the phrasing, the images, the videos that are going to speak to their specific needs? So there's a lot of little moving parts, but we start one step at a time and we graduate to that level.
So you mentioned SEO. You got people with different schools of thought as it relates to is SEO great for organic versus paid advertising? Just what are some of your thoughts as it relates to businesses and whatever phase they're in, and the necessity to actually pay for ads versus trying to be totally organic and figure out those keywords and phrases?
Yeah, I love this question because it's not an and or, it's a yes and, right? It's not like one
Okay.
or the other. So the first thing is when we're having a party at our house, it's the weekend. We just had Memorial Day, depending on when this comes out. And so we are inviting our friends over. Are we going to leave our house a mess? Of course not. We're going to clean up our house. We're going to make it look as nice as possible before we invite friends over. That's the same premise when it comes to your website and improving your website so that when you do get a customer coming in, they're actually purchasing from you. So the first step is understanding the customer when they do land on your website and what the customer is doing on that website. So that's step number one. Do we have a high converting website? And so diving into that, what does that even mean? How do I improve my website? Strong calls to actions, what we call CTAs. UI is key, user experience and user interface within the website. Are we creating a clear roadmap for the customer to take once they land on our website to buy from us? Think about it like this. When you go to a grocery store, you have different aisles with different products. Imagine you walk into a grocery store and there's zero signage anywhere and you just got to find it. It's not going to be a very useful experience, a very helpful experience. And we don't want that as a business. We want to make sure, hey, you want some eggs, you go to aisle 3. You want steak, go in the back of the grocery store. You want cereal, go to aisle 1. And so you're signaling to the customer where the product that they want is located. Same thing with your website. You're creating what's called information architecture. And it's like Aisle 1 is where you'll find these type of products. Aisle 2 is where you find our best-selling products. Aisle 3 is where you learn about us. And so creating a clear-cut roadmap within your website and then connecting that roadmap to different tools like Google Search Console. What is Google Search Console? It's a free tool that Google provides you that allows you to inform Google on how your website is structured. It's called the sitemap. So you submit a sitemap to Google so they can search through your website a lot faster and a lot easier and have a clear-cut understanding at how it's organizing. It's, in essence, you're telling Google, here's how my website is structured. Here's how the layout of my store is made, so that if a customer is searching for me, it's easy for them to find what they want. The other thing we want to do within that website is incorporate great content. So what does that mean? Whatever we think the customer cares about and wants, we want to have that prominent. We want to have the best products or services prominent at the very front of our website. It's just like window dressing when you're at the mall. I know the mall's going the way of the dinosaur, but I was just there last week. You're walking through that mall, and as you're looking at different stores, you're seeing the mannequins with their best jackets, the best suits, the best shirts, enticing you to come in. So you're always starting with your best foot forward. You know, you always want to make sure, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's a great product or a great shirt or a great jacket or a great blouse. I definitely want to go into that store and check it out. Same thing with your website. You want to start with the most important information, with the highest product sales that you're selling at the highest rate in the very front of your website, so that the customer can say, yes, this is exactly what I want. And then take the action that you want with strong cost to action, which is your CTAs. Sign up for the email newsletter, click here to find our top selling products or our top selling services. And that's guiding them. That's the first step. That's even before we start talking about how to improve our SEO. By just doing that organically, you're going to improve your SEO. You're going to improve the customer's ability to take the action that it wants to take the moment it lands on your website. So improving that is going to help you convert at a higher rate, drop your what's called a bounce rate. A bounce rate just means the customer lands on your website, sees it and says, nope, I don't want anything from here, and then leaves. We don't want that. We want the customer to stay in our website and stay as long as they want and click as many times as they want, and make the journey of those clicks as easy as possible for them to buy. What does that mean? Clicks are currency. If we have a customer, we want to make sure they take 2 to 3 clicks to be able to buy, because the more clicks it takes, the less likely they are to buy the product or service. And so all these little things are going to help you organically improve your search engine optimization. And then incorporating the words and phrases of what your customer uses when they do search for your products and services. So you go online as a customer and you're looking for best summer outfit, best summer shirt, right? You want to make sure, if you're a clothes company, that on your website, what do you have? Best clothes for summer, best shirts, best shorts, best jackets for summer. And so Google is going to match that keyword to key phrase that your customer did with your website. Google does this very intuitively. It searches over 40,000 websites a second when you do your search query. What does this mean? You type in your search words, you click enter. Google's going to take that word and scan over 40,000 websites a second, and it's going to rank that website according to over 200 inputs. Now, those inputs change over time to accommodate the needs, desires, and wants of the online customer. So you can't really, okay, I'm just going to do a checklist and make sure all 200 inputs. First of all, Google doesn't tell you those inputs. They do give you recommendations on how to improve your website, but those inputs are constantly changing. What you can do is always think about the customer first. What is it that the customer cares about? That's a very high level primer of what we can do for SEO. There's other things like backlinking. There's other things like improving your authority online, which is like blogging, podcasting, making sure that you become a thought leader within your space, or you become a market leader within your industry sector, product line. All those little things are really going to help you organically rank higher than your competition. It's almost like a game of numbers. It's like incrementation of 3% here, 2% there, and you slowly begin to improve your ranking. Reviews are a big deal, making sure that prospective customers that are become customers leave positive reviews. Press is really important. What do I mean by that? If the New York Times or if Fox Business writes an article about you, Google's going to find that article when people are looking for your product or service or your company. And it's going to say, does this article say something good or bad about the specific company? If it's good, that raises your authority in the eyes of Google. So improving that is going to constantly help. Then I would highly recommend running ads. Because if you run ads after you clean your house, after you improve that makeup of your business online, the customer acquisition cost is going to be a lot less because Google's going to say, hey, this is a great website, regardless if you're running ads or not. Because all Google wants to do is provide the best information to the customer. It organizes the world's information and it gives it to you in a very easy to use way. So the better able you are to communicate to your business and inform them, the more likely Google's going to refer business to you. Not because Google likes you, but that is Google's mission, to provide information to customers who are using the Google search engine. And so you definitely want to do that. So now that you're running ads, it's going to be easier for Google to say Google Ads is not a pay to play platform. It's based on a bidding system. You submit a certain amount of budget. Based on that budget, select certain keywords and key phrases. And then there's different companies that you're in competition with, and they're going to submit their bids and they're going to submit their budget. And then Google's going to identify which one of these websites is the best websites. There's 7 different inputs that Google reviews, like your landing page, i.e. your website, how useful is the information that you have on the website. And so when they're comparing you to other competition, if you already have an amazing website, if you already improved the user experience on that website, if you're already seen as an authority within your industry, Google's going to say, well, they're running ads, but they're really good at what they do. We definitely want to make sure they rank higher than the competition because they're already doing a better job. So you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money when it comes to running those ads if you already have a great organic presence. So that's why I always tell people, start with organic SEO and then graduate to paid ads. Now, I understand sometimes we need to sell immediately, so we can do that in tandem. You could build the plane as you're flying, as I like to say. So it's definitely not one or the other, it's both, but there's definitely a method to the madness, a process by which I would recommend you do it.
You mentioned backlinks. Given everything, all the different options you have, how effective are backlinks today?
Great question. So it goes back to search authority. I always like to translate it over to business before 2000s, right? So it's just a referral. It's just somebody saying, hey, I trust Play Big Faster. I trust them. They're great. Their podcast is fantastic. And then you start seeing it and multiple people say the same thing, from 1 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 different people saying, that's an amazing platform. It's an amazing production company. You should definitely either work with them or partner with them. All of a sudden, people are going to be like, yeah, I want to work with them. They seem fantastic. They seem amazing. And so it just naturally leads to more business. Same thing as backlinks. The more you have other websites mentioning you, speaking about you in a positive light, the more likely Google, because Google's searching those 40,000 websites a second, is going to say, or Bing, Microsoft is going to say, that's a great business because all these other websites are referring for them, are talking about them, are saying they're amazing. So that's how that's one metric they're able to say, that's a great company, that's a great business. Let's keep referring organic traffic to them. That's one tool that you have in your tool shed to improve your SEO. And it's definitely useful. How useful is it nowadays with AI coming on board? Its verdict is still out, but you could still use it. You could still drive traffic. And on top of that, referrals or third-party backlinks can drive traffic to your website. Imagine if a chamber of commerce is talking about your business, or the SBA is talking about your amazing business. And I am a customer that's doing my homework before I work with you. I'm going online, I'm looking at it, and I see the SBA did a great report on how amazing Play Big Faster actually is. It's a production company, and you should definitely hire them. I'm more likely to reach out to you now because there's multiple references that are saying how amazing of a business you are, as opposed to your competition that might have 2 or 3 websites. You have 15, and you have 15 highly ranked, high authority organizations, companies, businesses, chambers, news outlets, talking about how amazing you are.
And when you mentioned Amazon, you talked about reviews. I don't know how they figured it out, but literally every time I purchase something from Amazon, a couple hours later after it's delivered, how did you like your purchase? Would you like to rate it? Could you do a review? And I just think it's so awesome. What are some of the ways that people can leverage reviews the same way that Amazon and even Google Business, how you can leave reviews about the business? What are some ways that you can do that with your personal website, your landing page, or just some things to actually help you get those reviews?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. I think reviews and referrals are a great starting it's word of mouth. We look for our friends, our family members, our aunts and uncles to give us recommendations. This is what reviews are. It's recommendations by folks that have used your product or your service. So when you think about how to scale that process, it's exactly like Amazon does it. It's exactly like Google recommends you do it. You create a funnel and or a drip campaign when you service that prospective customer. So it's okay, we're servicing that customer, we're temperature checking the customer as we're servicing them. Hey, how do you like our service so far? Are you enjoying what we're doing? How do we improve? We want your feedback. And then when they're finished with that service or product that you provide them, you ask for that referral. Hey, we appreciate you. Can you leave us a 5-star review? And then you provide the links within that email. What we do within the agency, because we're so high touch, we definitely have account managers, and the account manager is in consistent contact with them via email and phone, and obviously video conference. Once we're done with servicing, we ask them, hey, would you like to leave a review for us? It will really mean a lot for you to leave a review. And so this allows us to have, I think we have 65, 67 5-star reviews on our business profile. And that happens because there's thought process behind it. And when the customer will open up the door for you, like, how could I help you? Thank you so much. You really did an amazing job. I'm forever thankful for you helping me improve my sales, increase my online presence. You tell them, oh, you know what would really help us? Thank you for saying that. Here's our links for reviews. Can you leave us a review? It'll go a long way. So not being embarrassed to ask that, creating a process through that customer journey to allow them to be able to provide that feedback is key via email marketing. I like the high touch. Sometimes every quarter we have our account managers give me a list of people to call. And they're like, hey, here's the 5 or 10 or 15 people we'll love for you to call. And I'm the owner of the company. We're a small company still. We're about 20, 25 folks. But I'll pick up the call and, hey, I just want to leave a message. I'm the owner and founder of Braven Agency. We really appreciate you working with us. We'd just like to say thank you. That goes a long way. If it's a client that's a large client, then we might move to a written letter. Like, hey, I'll write the letter out and I'll mail it to them with a signature and just appreciate the fact that we're partnering with them, we're working with them. That means a lot to us. Those little things go a long way in a world of automation, as you say. And so there's this proportionate value to reviews. I was just on vacation, and they will discount my rates for hotels, for restaurants, for gyms if I leave a review, like, hey, we'll give you 10% off if you leave a review right now. There's multiple ways of doing that. It could be online, it could be on YouTube, it could be on Google, it could be on Yelp. It just depends how aggressive you want to be. I'm always up to getting 10% off of any bill. So I
Right.
definitely recommend folks do that. Yes.
So, if you're working with a startup or a company that has limited resources, how does your company prioritize which recommendations to give them for marketing tools and technology that would really give them the fastest return on their investment?
I love this question. This is the best question ever. Literally why we created Smarts. So Smarts is an AI business consulting tool. It's very inexpensive to use. We have obviously what's called the freemium model. We provide a free service at first. And then if you want additional solutions, we literally do an audit. We audit your business within the matter of 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Now, the AI tool audits your business within a few seconds, but we think it's so important to have that human in the loop. In AI jargon, it just means you have a feedback loop and you have a human there making sure the information makes sense and speaks to the specific pain point and need of that startup or that small to medium-sized business that needs an audit. I just had a call yesterday with an amazing client, and they're like, I just want you guys to audit my business. We're doing everything we can do. We're on Amazon, we're on X, Y, and Z. We just need to make sure we have a second pair of eyes to make sure that we're doing everything right and to identify our gaps. And so that's what I recommend, like just understanding where to start, understanding. So there's a couple of things that I always do within that audit. And this comes from, I probably consulted over 500 businesses the past 15 years. And so you get a hang of what the pain point is for a startup. And the first thing I do is, do you have your numbers down? And they look at me confused. Yeah, I know what I'm supposed to sell. I'm like, we really want to get granular here and understand. And I went to business school, and they'll talk about burn rate, they'll talk about lifetime value. But let's simplify that. All that means is how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and how much money do we need to make sure we're breaking even between the money that we're spending and the money that's coming in. Understanding that piece is really going to help a business owner understand how long they have before they run out of money, before they have to shutter. And so that's key. Like, understanding that number is very important, because then we can give you what we call a runway. This is how long you have until you run out of money. The second thing we want to do is identify how you're capturing your current customers right now. And so just understand, hey, is it word of mouth? Are you getting your customers because your friends, family members are referring businesses out to you? Yes or no? Are you incentivizing those folks who are referring businesses to you? Are you providing incentives for them to do that? And then they're like, we don't want to run through our spend if it's going to this kind of, let's dive into the numbers. That's always going to help you as a business owner, understanding how my customers are coming in and how do I keep my business open. Those are the first two things that we do. And that's more operational than marketing, but that's pretty much your compass, your North Star. Like, there's really, in marketing and operations, there's three things we can do. We can retain current customers, which is the easiest way to grow a business. We keep having customers come back and use it over and over, use our product or service over and over again. That's like the golden goose. If you do get customers to come back and use you repeatedly, you have something there. The second thing we can do in marketing operations is acquire new customers, which means, okay, we have our current customer base, we have our foundation, let's go acquire more customers. That's more expensive. It's always easier to retain a customer than to acquire a customer. It's always easier to keep them happy, keep them coming back, keep them engaged with you, than going out and finding new customers. And then third is lowering your cost. Those are the three things I have as levers to help you grow and scale. And if you start thinking about it, that's very easy. Anyone can do that. Okay, let's make sure we keep our customer base, and then we can grow our customer base by acquiring your customers. And then where can we tweak, or as one of our Stanford professors would say, mow the lawn? What's something we could cut out? We don't need this service. We don't need this solution. And how do we make it more efficient? So those three things are really going to help any startup really grow and scale, and understanding those three things. And so understanding your customer acquisition cost, how much it costs to acquire a new customer, is going to be very important. How much money do I need to spend to acquire that customer? And then how often does that customer buy from me or use my service or solution? I think it was Eric Schmidt, the founder of Google, said, I love products that are like toothbrushes. You have to use them 2 to 3 times a day, and you're going to use them for the rest of your life. So is your product like that? Is it something that people have to consistently use throughout the day for the rest of their life? Yes or no? And so that's what lifetime value of your customer means. It's, in essence, how many times is my customer going to use my product over the lifespan of their life? You think about, I used to use the example of Uber and Lyft back in 2010, kind of dates me here. What did they used to do? Give you the little promo codes, right? Here's 25% off for a new customer, because they identified the value of acquiring a customer is $25. And now they're giving it away. Here's $25 to get a new customer, because they know you're going to use them over the lifespan of your company. You're going to spend way more than $25. So while they're in the whole $25, by month 2 or month 3, they'll break even. And after that, they're making money from you. And you're using their service over and over again.
And a lot of what you just described are just really basic foundational business skills.
Yep.
But I know you're also an advocate for AI automation.
Yes.
So how do you know when to, get business owners to advise them to focus on the foundational stuff versus the AI automation? Or is it not an either or an and?
You nailed it.
Okay. All right. I'm learning too. I'm on the job. I'm learning on the job. Okay.
No, I love that. That's exactly it. You just hit a home run. You just did it. So what I'm really giving folks in our business is paradigms to work with. we're a very different agency. We started because we believe in helping our small business owners. My mom and dad were entrepreneurs. My aunts were entrepreneurs. We needed them to, we don't follow the same business model as other agencies. We want you to one day be able to grow with us and scale with us. But if we're not a good match, we're not a good match. And we're not here just to make a quick buck from you. We want to create a relationship. So our model is a little bit different. We provide paradigms for folks to think through their problems and then partner with us to grow their business. This is how we're able to build trust to say, hey, we're ready to take on $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 ad spend. That's a lot for an entrepreneur to like, hey, I wasn't making anything. Now I'm spending $10,000 a month on ads. So you have to build that trust. So going back to your point of it's not and or it's a yes and, it's not one or the other. So think about the three drivers, the three levers that we have. We have retaining customer base, acquiring new customers, and lowering operational costs. What does AI truly do is lower your operational costs. That's really, it's operational excellence. It's one of the huge drivers that allows you to lower your cost. And so you can see it through that lens. So where would I put that bucket? I'll put it under AI. Now, that's right now. In the future, I don't even want, it's probably better for us not to spend time on what's going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years because it's moving so fast. And there's both predictions in the marketplace that are claiming it's going to change white collar work. And so I don't want to touch on that. I could definitely come back and spend a whole podcast on that specific point because it is something that we definitely want to signal and ring the bell for our community to really realize how transformative this technology is. And I can't double click on this enough. It is going to change the way our society operates. And it's only a matter of 2 to 3 years when that's going to happen. But now, what can a business do is operational excellence. How do we lower operational costs? I'm a marketing agency. I have 5 folks on staff that do creative services. That means logos, branding, images, videos for our clients. But I had 10 folks before AI came along. What does that mean? Does that mean AI displaced them? Yes. I don't need 10 folks to do the work now because I have amazing tools online that could automate and improve my design elements, that could create amazing videos. Google just came out with VO3. And if anyone uses Gemini, which is Google's AI tool, you can now create amazing 8-second clip videos using Gemini. And these are amazing videos that you'll be hard pressed to know if it's real. Avatars are another big one. You could create your own individual, create avatars, and then have that avatar speak on your behalf through videos, through content. And so on the content creation side, AI is revolutionizing everything. Now, as a small business owner or as a medium-sized business owner, we have to know how to use that tool. So we go back to digital transformation. Do we have someone on our team that can be our AI evangelist that knows how to use these tools within the departments where we want to use them? So for a marketing agency, it's very simple for me to identify content creation, design work. Let's get someone to really help our design team move faster, use less hours to create amazing content for our customer base. And then pass on that value to who? To our customer base. I'm not going to keep charging my customer the same price when I know it doesn't cost me the same thing. And now I have a competitive advantage over other agencies because I'm not charging them $10,000, I'm charging them $5,000 versus other agencies are charging them $10,000, and I capture some of that value. And so that's what you're trying to do as a small business owner is understand how to use AI. Email marketing, we talked about email marketing as a case study. You could have a AI tool create content for you, start drafting emails. Right now, the big buzzword in our market, in our space for small business is AI agents. What does this even mean? You train the AI tool, you provided information. I literally just connected my website with an AI tool that scrapes my website and the information on my website to inform that AI tool on how to convert that customer, how to improve my website, how to have stronger CTAs, what words and phrases should I be using. So the more content I provide the AI agent, the more aware and knowledgeable it's going to be. And when I ask it a question or when I prompt it, it's called prompt engineering. You write it a prompt. It's able to provide me real-time answers to those questions and to my doubts. And it's just a good idea. If you would love, I'd love to come back and talk about AI. We could talk about like the whole hierarchy of how this works, like what is machine learning, what is a language model, what is a large language model, what is generative AI, and that graduation of technology in the past 15, 20 years. And what does that mean for us as a business owner? And how do we leverage that tool, the solutions right now? In essence, what I'm really talking about is we as business owners can train our AI tools to become a marketing manager, to become an accountant, to become a bookkeeper, to become a graphic designer, to become our strategist, to become our copywriter. And the more data you give that AI tool, the better able it's going to be to help your business.
I think that is so important because, the one thing that I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say is that they still want to maintain their authentic voice. They want to use these tools, but they don't want it to sound like it's not them speaking. It's a tool, it's not you. And so we would love to definitely have you back to talk more about that. But also bottlenecks, because when I heard you say that you reduced your workforce in that department from 10 to 5, was that because you recognized the bottleneck and duplicative services, or because there are people that are afraid that AI is going to replace me, but I don't really see it as a replacement. I see it as a refinement in your business.
So yes and no, it definitely replaced folks in our team. I'm not going to mix words. And it's just because it's the one individual can do the job of 5 now, in essence. So if you want to get socioeconomic on this, 25 years ago, we had globalization, NAFTA. What did that do to our labor force? On jargon economic terms, it pushed out our labor curve. That means that United States now, as a citizen, is competing with the globe for work. So if I'm a multinational corporation, I could go to India, I could go to China, I could go to Mexico, where their labor costs are lower than in the United States, which means I could capture that value by hiring over there and paying them $5 when now paying Americans $15. That happened 25 years ago, and every large company that you know of in the Fortune 500 company took this approach. And us as business owners, small business owners, some of us were early to the game, some of us were late to the game, but we started doing what's called offshoring. AI is taking that and multiplying it by 5 now. So now it's, okay, that's great, but now we don't need some of those folks over there in India, in China, in Bangladesh, in Mexico. We can use AI to replace those folks or replace those folks here in the United States with AI. We can use, and you said something very important, the voice. You could talk to an AI agent and tell them, here's the voice that I want you to have. Here's our brand. Here's how our brand talks, walks, thinks. Here's how we communicate. Here's the past year and a half of emails that we send out to our customer base. I want you to truly understand how we communicate. And then you just test it out. Here's a complaint I have. How would you respond? That's not our voice. Try it again. And just train it until it has your voice. So you can definitely do that with AI agents. And what you need still is what's called a human in the loop. You need an individual in the middle to be able to say, yes, that's correct, or no, that's not correct. Let's iterate on that process a little bit more. So you can definitely do that now with AI. So it's definitely replacing certain jobs, certain redundancies that you might have. It's definitely improving your capability to scale faster if you know how to use the tool. And so it's wrestling with that tool as a business owner and then having your line in the sand and saying, how far do I want to go here? How far do I want to go when it comes to automation, when it comes to AI, when it comes to leveraging these tools to capture some value and pass it on to my customer base? So it's definitely for customers, and businesses should start thinking through their problem statements. When a customer comes to me, is like, how do I use AI? I'm like, what's your pain point? Let's start with where it hurts and let's work backwards and fix that pain point and see if AI is a good tool to fix that pain point. If you come to me and say, I need money, AI is never going to fix that. Capital is always a big challenge for us, right? Especially when we have a capital crunch, liquidity issues. AI is never going to touch that at this point right now. But when it comes to how do I improve my operations? How do I shorten my supply chain? How do I create email marketing drip campaigns for this specific customer base? AI can definitely help you with that.
So, Roberto, if you had just one piece of advice, and you've given us so many great nuggets, but just one piece of advice to share with entrepreneurs on how to play big faster with digital marketing, what would it be?
The first thing is understanding where your market is going. A lot of the time, we're comfortable where we're at. We're like, we got to this place. We're here now. And so I highly recommend folks, you guys are the subject matter experts. You guys know your industry. You guys know your market. You guys know your customer base. I want you to start thinking about what's over the horizon, because liking it or not, these technologies that we talk about are going to disrupt our industry, our sector. And, it always happens every 20 years, 30 years, we have new technologies that disrupt. The way you play bigger, faster is by taking on that risk and saying, okay, I need to make a bet for the future. What does the future look like in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? And how do I capture that value now? How do I start building and moving my business to be able to withstand this new change in technology? And so that's adopting AI tools, leveraging AI agents, using AI agents to digitize your business. At the very start, number one is digitize your business, get online. If you need help, reach out to us. Braven Agency, we're happy to help you. And if we can't help you, we'll find someone to help you so that you can definitely withstand the shocks that are happening within our industry. Digitize, leverage new technologies.
Now, for those of us who maybe, technically challenged, what is the best way to find you and Braven Agency?
Love the question. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions at robert@bravenagency.com. We have an amazing tool that's rolling out in the next month called Smarts. We've been in the marketplace for the past 2 years, but now we're leveraging AI to provide you very inexpensive consultations to help you understand your industry sector, identify your pain points, and capture value, i.e. sales, whatever that value means to you. But from our standpoint is, let's increase your revenue base and let's retain your customer base at a very low, we're talking like less than $15, $20. So we definitely want to work with y'all. We definitely want you to reach out. Reach out to me at Robert@Braven Agency, or reach out to us via our website. We have bravenagency.com or smarts.co, and let us know how we can help you.
And we'll definitely include that in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And you must come back to share more, because I think we just barely scratched the surface on this interview.
Happy to do it. I absolutely love the passion and conviction. Thank you so much for what you're doing to our small business and business community.
And for those of you who are watching or listening, wherever you get your podcast, if you enjoyed this conversation, definitely follow us on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcast. And please go check Roberto out over at the links in the show notes. Until next time, play big faster. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. Want more entrepreneurial content?
I like this.
Make sure to subscribe for future episodes.
Already subscribed. I just clicked on it.
Don't forget to like and leave a review. Share with a friend that needs this in their life.
I think you need this more than I.
Oh, and make sure to follow Scherrie on IG at Scherrie Speaks. And remember to play big faster.